Hi everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, and this is Matt
Hey, all men must die.
and Alan.
What's up in my verse?
Oh, jeez. These guys are going to talk about Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 5. It's called The Door. Full spoilers for the episode as follows. Take it away, guys.
So we got a few deaths in this episode.
A few?
Yeah, just a few, just a couple. I mean, it is Game of Thrones. You gotta have at least one. Um, but we'll save the big part for last, considering that came last in the episode, and that's
See,
how these things tend to go.
I see what you
So,
did there. Leave the big thing
don't
for
worry,
last.
don't worry. Hold the door. We'll get there when we get there.
Uh,
Um, First, I think we should talk about Sansa and Baelish and their whole little
mhm.
tiff that they had.
She basically said, "Fuck your couch,"
Yeah.
and she put her feet all over that couch.
Yep. And I was really like surprised because like
Mhm.
we finally get to see like her come full circle, do that whole 180 that we were talking
Mhm.
about last week with her character. How like she started out as kind of like a princess and it's like treat me like I'm the best thing ever, but now she's become like much more of a leader. It sucks that she had to go through what she had to go through in order to get there, but
Yeah,
it's good to see her do that and to make Baelish realize what he put her through.
yeah. This is the only time I've ever seen him with the "oh I shit my pants" look.
Yeah,
So because he's now realized that someone's onto him, which usually is not good.
yeah. So I'm wondering if maybe because Baelish is a lot like Batman in a way, where it seems like he's always got a
He
plan for
sucks.
everything.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that too. but but yeah. So I'm wondering if like he didn't anticipate this. And,
Nah,
like
there's
maybe,
no way he could. If they pull that and they do because Littlefinger, I'll be real upset. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. But I mean, like the way that he was speaking to her and how, like, if you want me to die, I'll die, that sort of thing. It came across as though, like, he's acting too hard to be sincere, I guess.
Yeah, I also think that it was one of the times where his plan didn't work out because the whole reason for her marrying Ramsay was he had to gamble he'd be Warden of the North
Right.
through Sansa, and that didn't work out. Now Ramsay is Warden in the North
Yeah.
because you can't account for a mad dog. You know,
Right.
so
Yeah.
I think he was just going. He was scrambling to see what his next move is.
And what could be interesting is that he told her about the Tullys at River Run
Hmm.
and how, like, she could possibly use them
Yeah.
to her advantage. So I'm wondering if maybe he is, like, setting her up. Like, maybe the Tullys are actually with Ramsay, and that way
I
he
don't,
can kind of like come in with the Knights of the Vale and then take over and don't have to worry about
see.
her.
I don't know because they brought up the Blackfish, and we last saw him at the funeral
Mm,
for Catelyn's dad when the other brother couldn't get the funeral pyre going. He just
right.
steps up and does it. He doesn't seem to one that would be cool with the Freys and the Boltons wiping out his
Mm,
family. So
yeah. I
I
mean, I
definitely
hope I
think,
hope that's the way it goes because I definitely want Sansa
yeah,
and Jon to take that back.
yeah,
But
and it's like a Justice League of Misfits, and adding the black sheep of the Tully family to the Onion Knight, the Bastard of Winterfell,
right.
the Red Witch, and all this. Like they all have superhero names,
Yeah.
so it just fits. But I mean, it could be. He's running out of backstab plays, and he kind of needs to push forward. So I think in order for his thing to go, he needs Sansa to be successful.
I hope
You
that's
know?
the way it goes.
Yeah.
But it's just like I just do not trust Baelish at all.
Oh no.
So like anytime that he says anything, I'm just questioning it.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like, do you really mean that? Is there actually help at River Run, or are you trying to backstab somebody here?
God, I hope it is. If it's like Uncle Benjamin, we found him, and they pull the rug out, I'm gonna be so. I
Yeah.
might throw something at the TV. Like, no TVs will be safe.
So keep TVs away from Matt. I'll write that down.
Yeah.
I guess next up, we should talk about Arya a bit.
Mm.
She's kind of like she's still in training, even though she like passed that test. Because I assumed that test last episode was like her final one.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Looks like it was her entrance exam, and now it's real.
yeah. And now she's kind of like back to where she was before with the whole trying to poison someone and all that stuff. And then the fucked up thing though is that I'm pretty sure that God, I can never remember his name. The guy who's training her.
Chicken?
Yeah. I would imagine that he knows about the play that's going on.
Yeah.
That she has to go watch. So this is probably like a test to see if she actually has no desires, like how it actually affects her emotionally. Because she goes to this play and she sees basically the story of the death of her father, essentially.
Yeah, as told by Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
That's how I thought of it.
The special effects were about the same.
Not the slow motion though.
Yeah, there could have been a bit more. But yeah, it was really fucked up the way that like she had to watch all that stuff, and like you could see on her face like what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And she goes back and she kind of questions him too, and he kind of like puts her in her place, or reminds her like what she's actually supposed to be doing. So there's still kind of like that up in the air right now, is like whether or not she actually is going to commit to this or something going to happen.
Yeah, it was very much the history of the Faceless Men, and them reminding us that, oh no, they're mercenaries. They work for money. It's not about what's right. It's about what pays. I think that's going to be her mission too, because if she can get out of there without, remorse. Although I don't think that. I think he knows that she's not going to end up being a Faceless Man. This is all. He understands her revenge quest.
Yeah,
that's how they became friends in the first place.
Yeah.
So in Harrenhal,
I think what would be really interesting though is if she does become one of the Faceless Men, and then she's faced with a situation where she should take out or exact her revenge on someone.
Yeah,
that would be like a real test.
Like they send her in to kill Cersei or something along those lines. Or worst case scenario, she's worked for hire. She's got to kill someone from her own family. You know, and that's the ultimate test.
Really crazy. So yeah, I mean, I'm really interested in seeing where she goes. I love seeing her like Daredevil training with the waif or the wife or whatever you call her.
Whatever her name is, she's not Stick, but she uses a stick.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, she's just such a bitch to her, and she doesn't even care.
They dropped the stick and they try to go with hands, and I don't even know how old the waif is, just because of their shape-shifting powers.
Yeah. And
the whole Melisandre thing, throwing everyone for a loop. This woman could be as old as Yoda for all we know. And she just
she's like from the other side of the world or something.
Yeah. Arya caught a beating but kept getting up, which I think that was pretty important. Yeah. She's come this far, she's not gonna let, an ass kicking stop her. So
she could be a Murdoch.
She could be. She's got, she's got the demeanor, that's for sure.
Yeah. And she's got the senses working for her now too, so.
Yeah. Plus eyesight, so even more.
Exactly. Could you imagine what Daredevil would be like with eyesight? It'd be Arya. That's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
From there, though, we go to the Iron Islands, where this whole storyline went a lot faster than I expected it to.
Yeah, no joke, man.
Which is good, because last season the storylines just took way too long.
Yeah, last season felt like a holding pattern. Like they were waiting to get that season out of the way, so now they can move forward. Because stuff is happening at record pace.
Yeah. It's great.
Now the Iron Islands have joined that. But, oh man, yeah. So why don't you tell us what happened there?
So essentially, the King's Moot is finally taking place, and they're going to choose a new king. And I don't know the guy's name. I don't think it's been mentioned, but he's like the priest or.
Oh, okay, yeah. For the priest for the drowned god.
Yeah. He's like up at the front. He's like, who takes or who claims the throne?
Yeah.
And Yara goes up there and says that she's a daughter, and she kind of like makes her case and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Theon comes up, and it's kind of like framed in such a way as where it's like, is he going to like claim the throne too? But he doesn't. There's like no reason to really think that.
Had he undercut his sister after promising her aid, because
she would have cut him down right then and there.
Yeah, I don't think he would have made it out of there.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's held to his word now. The reborn Theon.
Yep. But then after that, it looks like no one's going to take over, and then Euron comes from like way in the back and is like, he confesses to killing Balon. First of all, and everyone's like in shock, and he's like, "You should thank me." And he lays out his reasons why. Is like, the whole place was stagnant. He's been all over the world. He knows how to sail ships.
Mm-hmm.
And
so that he's paid the iron price.
Yeah,
which I had to go to the Maester and talk to him what that was. Which that'll come into play in a minute.
Yeah,
the iron price.
But he. Or after he says that he's paid the iron price, everyone like chants and screams for him and everything, and
it becomes a frat party at that point. Like
it does.
I expected somebody to be doing a cake stand in the background. Like,
although apparently a bunch of people were in favor of Yara because, as Euron is taking I guess their oath.
Yeah, so the Drowned God is a pretty cool religion because it goes around the sea. Because I did some research after watching the episode, and basically you drown your king before, and if he's unworthy, like let's say you vote for him in the King's Moot, and then they drown him and he doesn't come back up,
he's not.
You need a new king. Yeah, so he's not seen as worthy. So when they pull him out of the water, lay him on the beach, and he just he sits there, I had a laugh going, well, how's that one? So, it was...
But yeah, during the entire time that's taking place, Yara and Theon, their followers, just run to the port and get all the ships basically that they have and just set sail.
Yep.
So I imagine that there's quite a number of people from the Iron Islands who are on their side. So which is kind of cool because we get to see a sort of civil war take place there.
Yeah, and the Iron Islands don't look like a place where stuff grows. So when your head's like, "Oh, we're gonna build 1,000 new ships," I was like, "All right, have fun with that, bud." They have all of them, but basically they did what the Ironborn do. And they just took what they felt was theirs, and that was all the ships, regardless. So I thought that was a nice little subtle thing in the storytelling when Euron had said he had paid the iron price all over the world. I was like, "Oh, you have no idea what's coming,"
which is great. I hope that they go to the north to Winterfell and help out there because Theon. Again, has that relation to Sansa and everything.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of Sansa, we didn't mention this earlier, but I really loved whenever they were getting on horses to ride away, and we get to see what's become an amazing GIF all over the internet, where Tormund looks over at Brienne, and he's just staring at her, and then Brienne looks at him, and she's just, oh. And then he just smiles, keeps looking at her.
Yeah,
I love that so much.
Yeah, again, it's the band of misfits up there. I mean, I think his surname is Giantsbane. Yes. And then you have Brienne, Tarth, and just it's probably my favorite thing going, just for sheer ideas of what could happen, which it's probably gonna rip my heart out by the end because that's what the show does.
Yeah,
Molo Ram style. But yeah, that was a pretty good look.
I love.
He's such a good actor. That guy's really stepped up and become a great character in this. So
yeah. But after the Iron Islands, we
Mhm.
see Daenerys and Jorah having a conversation
Mhm.
where Jorah finally admits to having grayscale, and
Yeah.
he tells her about it, and she kind of like he was like gonna go away from her, and then she kind of like takes him back
Mhm.
because before that she was talking about how like she keeps banishing him, but he keeps coming back to her,
Yeah.
and she's done it twice now,
Yeah.
and so what she does is she commands him to go find the cure for grayscale and come back to her.
Yeah.
That's essentially all that happens with them
Yeah. That was
there.
that only scene, and I liked it though because of that banishing. Is that she banishes him for a good reason this time and puts him on a mission
Right.
to find the cure.
Yeah.
So they looks like they've reconciled.
Yeah, and Jorah admits to loving her and all this stuff, which is kind of weird because she's supposed to be like, what, 18, 20, or
He's
something
been
like
with her
that?
like her whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just,
it's Game of Thrones, man. It's a little bit creepy.
it is so creepy. Because he's like
So
50.
yeah, yeah.
Whatever.
But I just take the characters at whatever the age of the actor is that's playing them, because that's the only way to expect
Yeah.
or to explain how Brand's grown 9 feet since we've last seen him. You know, he's been in that tray a good long while.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Daenerys, we'll put her at her actress age, which I'm not sure. She's in her 20s, but
Yeah.
still, I love she said he's like 50.
Yeah. Ew, it's kind of creepy.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's pretty much it there. We get to see them kind of like march out
Yeah.
of the village, and I guess they're gonna go back to Marine or somewhere.
She's
Don't
got
really
an
know.
army now.
Hopefully, we don't have to see them travel for the rest of the season, though.
They get there, it's the 10th episode.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
yeah.
But in Marine, we see Tyrion and Varys discussing like how they're going to present, everything to the public, how they get the public
Mhm.
to believe them. And so what they do is they call one of the other Red Priestesses from, was it Valeria? What is it?
Probably Volantis. That's
Volantis. That's it.
one of the cities over there. It's because they're the whole not Ryloth. That's something else. But R'hllor, um, their whole religion based around the Lord of Light comes from
Right.
Essos. So they're kind of all over the place there. Where in Westeros, they stick out because there's not as many.
Yeah.
But yeah, she comes up to sell them on like converting everyone in Marine
Yeah.
to
But
that.
But Varys isn't having it. Like apparently
no.
Varys is very upset with this decision because he starts to call her out on her shit and everything, and then we get to see a look into his past whenever she talks to him
Hmm.
about a sorcerer who I guess castrated him,
Yeah.
and how he heard a voice in the fire where the sorcerer threw his parts, and so I'm wondering if maybe he had some sort of like religious background or something, and he just kind of
Yeah.
like went away from it because he was a child at the time. But I mean,
Right.
we don't know the situation in which he grew up.
Right. And it just adds another layer to Varys, like why he does the things that he does. And if he did hear a voice in the fire, like, what does that mean? Has he been trying to stop them from coming? Because he's really the only one that realizes the threat on the horizon.
Right.
Because he's put this game into play. He sent Tyrion over there. He realizes they need an actual leader because it's kind of chaos all over.
So I'm wondering if he's not going to have like a bigger role to play later on
Yeah.
in the show.
Mm-hmm.
So he's really interesting. Whenever the show started, I didn't really care about him.
Yeah.
But he's really grown as a character, I think. I've come around to him a lot.
Mhm.
But yeah, it seems like this is the episode where we get a bunch of history on people.
Yeah.
Because earlier in the episode, before we get to the end part with Bran, we see Bran have a vision of the origin, or like of the past, where the children, I think they're called the Children of the Forest,
Yep.
they turn a man into the Night's King. And we didn't see where White Walkers come from, and it's because of them.
Yep. They created them, and their whole thing was like, "Yep, our bad. We created them for you, but turns out kind of messed with us too."
Yeah, it was like a big mistake.
Yeah.
And by the end, Bran ends up like going into, I guess, the past or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're not really sure like where he goes whenever he goes by himself. I don't know if it's current time or what. But he goes there. He goes there and he like looks around at the tree and all that stuff, and then he sees the White Walkers just standing there, and he walks through them, and he goes up to where the Night King is, and the Night King sees him and touches him. And then he goes out, and Three-Eyed Raven's like, "Oh, you fucked up.
Yep, you done messed up. We all gonna die."
Yep. And so basically, he tells Bran that he's gonna have to become him now. And I guess what they do is they like mind meld or something.
I don't. This is where it gets murky, and I'm gonna have to watch it again because from here on out, it's like makes no. It becomes Game of Thrones meets Primer, right? With time travel and just everything. It's just so off, you know. But because I missed that part where he said he's gonna have to become him, and stuff, and but the bigger thing is Bran can affect the past, is what we're gonna find out.
Yeah, so basically what happens is that they go back to, I guess, that time whenever Ned was a boy, and he sees his father, I guess, right off. Mm-hmm. And Hodor is there. And what happens is as the White Walkers are invading the tree, and the children of the night or the forest are like fighting them off and everything, Hodor notices him. And finally, like, what happens is Bran comes out and he wargs into Hodor, and he gets Hodor to take his body like through the tree, like out the back door, essentially. And what is the girl's name?
Mira.
Mira, yeah. She keeps yelling to Hodor to hold the door.
Yeah.
And apparently that's where his name comes from.
Yeah, and that's where another thing that loses me is, like, did Bran like create a bridge between young and old Hodor that becomes like a feedback loop, and that's what scrambles his brain?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. You know, but Bran wasn't saying hold the door. Mira was.
Right. So I guess because Bran could hear Mira, it was going through him, maybe?
I guess. Oh, it was rough. And I mean, that all gets lost because of what happens is as he's holding the door, you know, Mira's taking Bran, and they have to leave Hodor there.
Yeah.
And Big Man sacrifices himself so Bran can get out.
Yeah. And in the past, young Hodor is like having a seizure, and he keeps yelling, hold the door," over and over again, until it finally just kind of devolves into Hodor.
Yeah.
And whenever that happened, I was just like fucking broken. I was like, nope, I gotta get away from this for a while. There was
no one at the house besides the dogs, and they just kind of were looking at me. I was like, shut up, I'm not crying, you're crying. So it was just one of those moments, just because Hodor's just been there from the beginning for Bran.
Yeah. And
he's been there for the Starks. No matter what Stark has needed him. It's mainly been Bran. You know, he was the big, gentle giant. And he gives his life. So, you know, hopefully he can get out. I don't know where they're going to go, because they run off into like a blizzard. Because the White Walkers are approaching. That
seems
said,
like they gotta go south. That's the only way.
When Mira attacked the one that had came through the tree first, the other, not the White Walker, but he looks like the Night's King. She like stabbed him with a spear that melted him. So either
Yeah.
that was dragon glass or that was Valerian. So they know what can destroy them, which is good.
Well, what was interesting is like we see one of the children of the forest. They like stab the guy with this
Yeah.
with what looked like the same spear,
Yeah,
and then she threw it. So I'm wondering if
That's
it's
right.
something to do with what she is.
right.
I mean, I don't know. It was just speculation,
Yeah.
but
She also had that orb that becomes a bomb as
Yeah.
they're swarming her, and then like the guys that run the show, I just realized must hate direwolves
they do.
because there's
That was
no
the hardest part
reason
for me
for
to
that
watch,
scene.
personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Summer dies, and then we see was it Rickens?
Yeah.
Wolf
Shaggy
2
Dog.
episodes ago. Yeah, he died. We get to see his fucking head on a hook.
Oh. So that leaves Ghost and then Arya's Nymeria running off, and then she got off the best,
Yeah,
but I've been telling people they hate direwolves like Scott Snyder hates horses, and those of us that have read Batman will totally get that because he goes out of his way to show bad things happening to horses throughout his run on Batman.
so we're gonna see like a
Became its own
giant
thing.
punch Ghost right in the face.
Yeah. Kind of hope not. Ghost. Those puppies need to make it out, man, because they're representatives of the Stark kids.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much everything in the show. I think this is probably my favorite episode so far
Oh wow!
because it seems to be topping itself every time this season.
Each time. That's I saw like last episode a lot, and then the Tower of Joy scene I think is my favorite thing so far, which is good because last season was kind of a slog and felt like homework.
Yeah.
So the fact that we can already poll and we're halfway through now, we can poll favorite moments already. That's a pretty good sign.
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead.
oh, sorry. I was just saying because we're like cutting down on storylines, so we get to spend more time with each person.
Yeah.
I think that's making me enjoy the show more.
Yeah, that's good. But as I say, we kind of skipped Jon Snow in his council meeting, and they're gonna go. It seemed like they were hopeless because the northern families that have sided with Bolton are the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
But as Sansa points out, and kind of on her own, without Littlefinger, because we talked about him pointing out about the Tullys,
Right.
but that there are houses that are loyal to the name, just to start. And even if you get the next 6 houses, they have more people than the big 3 combined. Which I thought was an interesting strategy because we still haven't had payoff for the North Remembers.
Yeah.
So that'll
and the
be
whole
nice
thing
to
about
plan.
Well, the whole thing about the Stark name too, like Sansa kind of pulls that. Is like technically Jon isn't a Stark, so and you kind of like sense a sort of divide between them starting to kind of like come about, which I don't want to divide between them. I want them to stick together because they just got back together.
Well, it just sticks to Sansa still being her mother's daughter, and that Catelyn was never approving because that's the bastard of her husband after war. But there's a whole other theory that they've been dropping, that might put this all to rest. Hopefully. Oh, you don't know the R plus L equals J?
Mm-mm.
Oh, all right. Well, since we're in spoiler territory, there's a theory that Ned found Jon in the Tower of Joy, and that he's the product of Rhaegar and Lyanna, and that because that would make him half Targaryen.
Wow. Okay.
That they fought this whole war to depose the Targaryens. He can't be having his blood, so he tells her that it's his bastard.
So he's the combination of the fire and the ice sort of thing.
The Song of Fire and Ice is the song. So. Oh man, I'm surprised you made it this far into the series without coming across this.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that before.
And that's why they pulled away from the Tower of Joy. That's why last season in the Crypt in Winterfell, they lingered on Lyanna so long. There've been all these
Interesting.
little breadcrumbs, yeah. And I'll thank Maester Jared for that one because he's my go-to Game of Thrones guy. He pointed me in that direction a while ago. But yeah,
That's
so that divide's there by purpose to protect Jon. You know,
Okay.
and now that his duty's done with the Night's Watch, he could be legitimized because he is more Stark than anything else. He was raised there. You know, Ned treated him as a proper son, and all that. So he could very well pick up the Stark name in the arms and take back the North, and it would be just fine.
Yeah, and he's talked about too. I think in the last episode, wanting to kind of like get away from all that stuff too,
Yeah.
because he's kind of like tired of the killing and all that sort of thing. So I could totally see him just being like, Sansa, you can have it, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's it too. But at the end of the day, is if he is the what do they call him, Azor High, and all the pieces add up. That this is who the Red Melisandre. I'm just calling her the Red Witch. Who Melisandre was after with Stannis, and now it's coming to fruition. It also could be Daenerys because she's also Targaryen.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's this whole thing out that he's still pretty much the focal point of the show, whether all these are going out or not. But yeah, well, I'm surprised you had made it this far still.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm excited to hear that though, because that's really awesome.
And again, it hasn't been confirmed, but from what Jared's told me is that it's all but confirmed. Like it's that one thing that everyone knows but doesn't know, you know. So
Gotcha.
but yeah, but no, it's a really good episode of the show, and look forward to where this season goes because we've hit the halfway point.
Yep.
Episode 9's 4 weeks away, so
It's gonna be a good one. Always
'cause
is.
something big or something tragic always happens.
Yep.
So,
That's pretty much it.
yeah.
You might have broke your record there, guys.
Yeah.
Might have broke your record. Also, Alan, you pronounced a GIF with a soft G. How dare you?
Nobody knows what the correct fucking pronunciation is.
Well, according to the guy that created it, it's a GIF, but you don't call it a giraffe, right? It's a giraffe. So
God, I just no. Jif is a brand of cleaning product for your kitchen.
oh, here GIF's a peanut butter. Maybe they're one and the same in Scotland.
Oh dear. All right, so that's Game of Thrones
Cheesy bombs clean with GIF.
episode 5. See, now you see why I think peanut butter and jelly is such an odd combination. Then.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought you were just crazy, but I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, but there's people eat haggis, so he doesn't get
true.
I do not. Thank you very much.
So doesn't stop us from calling you haggis breath when we get mad.
In all the comments, leave something about Peter eating haggis, please.
And playing bagpipes while riding a unicorn majestically through the Highlands.
And yelling about freedom.
I don't mind riding a unicorn through the Highlands yelling freedom. That sounds like a pleasant afternoon. But the haggis can fuck
It
off.
sounded more Scottish.
In the comments, leave a link to your drawing of Peter riding a unicorn through the Highlands, yelling freedom.
You might need to get Boy on that.
Alright,
Anyways.
that's Game of Thrones, guys, you know, for the week. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the episode, and possible fan art of me riding a unicorn. And like and subscribe and all that jazz. We'll see you next time.